Hello, this is Stretford, Paddock. Manchester United 1, Norwich 0, or Norwich 0, Manchester United 1 if you want to be pernickety. A late Ronaldo winner again, something we've been talking about all season, usually in the Champions League, but we've seen it in the Premier League again today. Another clean sheet, another win for Man United, but it didn't feel particularly comfortable, did it? Jordan and Ange are with me as well. Let us know your thoughts on the game in the comments. I'll start with you, Ange. Give me your general thoughts on that game, because it wasn't vintage Man United by any means.
No, it wasn't. I guess on one hand, you can feel frustrated in that they all had, the midweek game off. So you're expecting to see a lot more energy, a lot more, which we didn't see. Frustrating that Rashford really didn't seem on his A game at all. And like what we commented on the watch on, the fact that Sancho got subbed before him, I think was a little bit irritating. Just a lot of frustrating moments, especially that we got off to quite a bad start. And it was very all over the show. But then on the other hand, we did keep a clean sheet. Great performance from De Gea. I don't know if you celebrate him having good performances because he's had to do a lot of work.
It's good that he did. Better than him not having a good performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. Ronaldo to the rescue again, whether you take that as a positive or negative, depending what your opinions are on the situation. So a bit of a mixed bag in that I think we were all expecting a lot more. But at the end of the day, looking at it, clean sheet, and we've got 3 points. But the actual performance itself was frustrating to watch. Yeah,
and you look at the stats there, 11 shots for Norwich, 5 on target, 13 for United, 5 on target. Slightly more possession for United, slightly better passing. But generally speaking, we didn't dominate that game the way Rangnick likes us to or would want us to. Or that control wasn't there, was it, Jordan?
No, it was a very tough watch, we have to admit, on our end and probably for everybody else as well, because we were good for like the first 2 minutes of the game, and then there was a spell between.
2 minutes, eh?
Yeah, I know, it were a great 2 minutes.
Goes down in the history book.
It really does, and in that canary yellow. But then the rest of the first half was such tough viewing, as I mentioned before. We just weren't stringing passes together. The last sort of movement that we needed to get right was wrong in every single sort of thing that we did, in terms of passing forward, in terms of finishing, in terms of decision making. It was all just wrong, and we ended up finishing after the first half thinking, what's going on? It's been a rubbish WhatsApp. We don't seem to be getting anything moving. And I think we had 4 shots on target or 5 shots on target in I think it was 4 at half time. And the last shot on target we had was the penalty, which we scored. So it just shows that it was very much a lug of a 90 minutes of football. And depending on how we like it or not, the positives we have to take is what Ange said before. We kept a clean sheet.
Yep.
Depending if we look solid, I'm not too sure, because Norwich had a plethora of chances. But a 36 going on 37-year-old Ronaldo has saved us again with a very good penalty against a very good penalty saving goalkeeper in Tim Krul.
And he won the penalty as well. Just got sort of yanked off a little bit. By
trying it again, are we?
Well, he did. What would you want to say? He got tugged off.
He got pulled. No, I would have said. I would be putting words in your mouth.
I think it was a bit of a soft penalty, but I think it was a penalty. Not some horrific challenge, but he puts his arm around him.
Oh, it was obviously a penalty. Yeah,
you can't be doing that, especially against Ronaldo, because he's going to win that penalty all day. Looking on the positive side of things, I think it wasn't a good performance from United. We did look shaky. We did concede too many chances. We didn't control the game. We didn't press as well as we did against Crystal Palace. There's loads of things that you can go through, but winning the game is the most important thing. And no one expected after, 6 days or 7 days with Rangnick as manager and 3 games in, that it would be perfect, high pressing, controlling the game, winning every second ball stuff that quickly. I think the Palace game maybe was not fortunate, but we did better than expected. And today this was more like what I thought we would see for those first few weeks under Rangnick, where it is a bit disjointed, where you press first of all, but they pass around it, and then we don't have that sort of second layer of control, where there's a few times in the first half where Fred would sprint at someone and they'd go around him, and then they've got 30 yards to run into. And you just think that's what we need to cut out. It's that second, third wave of pressing where we couldn't possibly have the full knowledge of what to do yet. So I think you've got to, obviously when it's teams at the top of the table, you call it title winning form. When it's mid-table, you call it shocking performances. But 1-0 is 1-0 against a team that's on the way up a little bit with a new manager, and they just sat back, and it's hard to break that down. As Steve was saying on the watch along, it's not easy to just consistently press, win the ball back against a team that isn't really trying to play out. I know they had their chances, Norwich, but I do think a lot of it was set pieces and that kind of thing. So yes, the performance was shocking, but the win is the most important thing, isn't it? Let's go through a couple of the players then, because Rashford's the one in the comments that I'm seeing over and over and over again. Very inconsistent, not just minute by minute, but game by game. Not his best performance again today. And what are your thoughts on Rashford? He's not really... I know he got a few goals early on, but he's not really had those performances since he came back from injury, has he?
Yeah, I think when he finally had the surgery and was out, I think everyone was expecting like a really spectacular comeback because it's Marcus Rashford. And I know that we've spoken on the watch along about, you know, a lot of players kind of coming back. There have been a few across the Premier League that are almost on this like Euros and COVID pandemic like hangover almost, which isn't an excuse. But yeah, it is a little bit worrying as to there's something not right there. And obviously, like we saw, I think the one chance that he had that was good. Everything else just wasn't really. It was like a jigsaw that wasn't fitting, kind of thing. And you know it's there. And you know maybe it's going to be up to Ralph to figure out what the situation is and how he can bring back the Rashford that we all love. So.
Yeah, what do you think of Rashford? And it's weird that I think pretty much everyone at the time when he made that sub and he took Sancho off. And kept Rashford on. We're all like, what's in that for?
Even Rashford kind of looked a bit annoyed.
But it's weird because almost like the same thing where like Ollie used to do that all the time, didn't he? Where he would leave Rashford and Bruno on sort of no matter what. And then sort of Rangnick's done the same thing there. But it wasn't his best game by any means, was it?
No, it wasn't. Like you said, it's echoing when we all thought that he was going to take Rashford off. I said it on the watch long, he'll be the first one to go off at half time. But he just doesn't look the same player as he did last season. Like something's almost holding him back. We don't have a clue what it is, and maybe that's why he's brought. Maybe Rashford is an example of, for a number of players, why Rangnick has brought that sort of psychologist guy in to sort of try and understand him better what's probably going on. But I will admit, he played Rashford to sort of try and play through the sort of form that he was in that game. He was better towards the last 10 minutes. He saw a couple of runs that he made, mazy runs. Ronaldo could have got a second if the pass just wasn't just behind him. He gets a second, he gets a clean contact, and it's 2-0 game over. But again, he just looks like something's not there, and it now looks to us like Ralph's just gonna play him through it and just try and get him back into the form that we want to see from him. It's difficult, isn't it? It
is. The best we saw of Rashford was in those last 20 minutes or 10 minutes, like you said, but that's because there was more space. Rashford's game is great when he's on the ball, running in behind, knocking it and running. When it was dead tight and they were on the edge of their 18-yard box, his short passing and his quick thinking in terms of his build-up play isn't always brilliant, which is why I was surprised to see him, Sancho, go off instead. But maybe he thought that the game will get more stretched as time goes on. You know, but it's hard to think that Rangnick predicted that we'd get a penalty and then score it, and then Norwich would try and press us. So it was interesting. Victor Lindelof is a slightly odd one. Went off, looked like he was holding his chest or saying he couldn't breathe or something like that. I don't know if there's any word on that. If there is, hopefully we'll be able to get it to you as soon as we hear anything. Slightly concerning, isn't it? Because he was playing pretty well. Like, obviously not a lot to say because we don't know any more than that. But yeah, not good. Don't look good.
No,
now,
he's been pretty good the past few games as well. His passing range from centre half is something that we've really been sort of taking advantage of, especially with the fact that we're now playing a couple of cross-field balls. We've seen it from Lindelof, Delo, etc. We've been taking advantage of it, but whatever's happened to him, he just looked like he was holding his chest and said maybe he was really badly winded or he just lost his breath or something happened when he's landed after going for a header. We have no idea, and we'll tell you as soon as we know. But look, it's the same conversation we were having pre-match about when Varane comes in, does he dislodge him? I still think yes. Yeah. Do you think differently after that?
No, I don't think any differently after that. I don't think he had a bad game. But yeah, if he's injured or who knows what that's going to be, because it's a strange one. It's rare to see a player go off with anything other than a muscular problem, like a chest or lungs or breathing or heart, whatever it was. How long is that? How long are you out for with that? Back next week? You can't just
who knows? Sergio Aguero.
Exactly. Yeah. So who knows? Obviously, we'll have to see some sort of diagnosis there, find out exactly what's going on. Michael Welfare, welcome to the first team. Thank you for joining and becoming a member. If you aren't a member, make sure you join because you have a chance of winning a PlayStation 5. We are giving away 12 gifts this Christmas, starting on the 26th of December. Everyone who is a member will be entered automatically for every single one of our giveaways.
The smell's coming.
Gifts.
Oh, it's there.
We've got merch, we've got books, we've got games, we've got posters, we've got Manscaped boxes, we've got all sorts of things to be given away over the 12 days of Christmas. Join as a member, click the link in the comments, and you will automatically be entered. So thank you, Michael, there. Someone saying it's the vaccine. Well, it's not, is it? Not that we know of. Fred definitely had a decent game. Fred again, all right, wasn't he? He's a bit of a headless chicken at times, isn't he? There was a few ways
He still stresses me.
sprinting at their player, and they just go past him.
Yeah.
I know that. I think he attempted 7 tackles and made 7 tackles. I would love to see how many times he got dribbled past, because it has to be at least 2 or 3. But obviously, you can't have just a perfect performance. He's still looking promising under Rangnick, isn't he?
It's positive.
Yeah.
And I think some of the performances that we've seen from Fred, if we're getting consistent positive performances, that's only going in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? So I guess in that sense, you're just grateful that there's not been some absolutely horrific moment where he's really shown himself up. So
yeah. Interesting comments here. So Kelly says, Tellers loves a tackle, love heart. And then Vince says, fuck Tellers. So, both sides of the
Split
spectrum.
in opinions.
Yes. Smarak, welcome to the Academy. Thank you very much for joining. How much more does the result matter than the performance? What do you think Rangnick's thinking after that? Do you think he's thinking, thank God I got away with it? Or do you think he's just fuming that we were shit?
I think he's more fuming that we were poor for the majority of the game. He'll be happy that it's a clean sheet and we've won the game again. Because if you looked at Man United fans and he said the first 3 games you get with Rangnick, it's useless against young boys, but the first 2 games in the Premier League, it's 2 clean sheets and 2 wins. It's not grand off because it's better form than what we were in previously.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think he's probably going to be considered the most is the fact he've only scored 1 goal against Crystal Palace and Norwich. Norwich are fighting relegation, which is pretty obviously to see. Palace were understood to be a better performing team this year under Vieira, but we've only scored 2 goals in 2 games. I know we've won those games, we kept clean sheets, but I think that's probably going to be his biggest worry, I think, from those 2 games that we've not scored.
I'm just having a look here at Man United's results. So obviously the last game under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the Watford game.
Yeah.
So you have to remember the team that 2 weeks ago, the 20th of November, just over 2 weeks ago, had just lost to Watford, just lost to City, drew with Atalanta, we beat Tottenham, we lost and got battered by Liverpool, we scraped a win against Atalanta, we lost to Leicester, we drew against Everton, and we'd lost to Villa and West Ham. He's not taking over the champions of England.
No,
it's
not
not
at
easy
all.
to just go from some of the worst form we've seen in years, a little bit of a decent run to Carrick, and then all of a sudden we're brilliant again. It's going to take time to build the confidence, to build this team back up, because Solskjaer didn't get sacked for nothing. He didn't get sacked because the results were good and everyone was happy. So it's going to take a while to overcome that. And like you said, 1-0s and clean sheets, we're more than happy with that until then. But obviously, at some point, the results have to come as well. The performances have to come as well, don't they?
Yeah, you've got to be realistic, like
Yes,
you're saying,
exactly.
where we're at. We are not at the level of a Chelsea or a City, and we're not going to be. As much as we all predicted, there'd be a couple of goals, because you look at Norwich and you think this is the kind of game where you could score some good goals. And maybe, we did have the chances where it could have maybe been 2-0 or something. But yeah, you've got to be realistic with where you're at, and you've kind of got to humble yourself and not take what you're given kind of thing, but in a way just accept that it is not going to be fireworks. It's going to take a minute, and like you say, clean sheets, 3 points. Look at the positives, because like you say, 2-3 weeks ago it was a hell of a lot worse, and we would have been going into this Norwich game very worried probably. If we, God forbid, if we'd have still been in that same situation, it would have been a total different mentality going into it. So yeah, I think definitely it's important to kind of not forget how bad it was. Like you say, I mean, reading that list, I'd kind of forgotten about it. Yeah, it was very kind of shocked me a bit, thinking about it back. So yeah, definitely be a little bit appreciative of the fact that at least the ship is sailing in the right direction and it's steady.
Yes, exactly. Isaac Hobson with the super chat said, don't forget Norwich have only lost 1 in the last 5 or so Premier League games. They've been playing well, and they have been playing well. And Rangnick said that before the game, didn't he? They're playing much more vertically. They're passing through the lines much better than they were under Daniel Farke. So it's not the easiest of games.
No.
We made it look hard though, didn't we? Let's be honest, we did make it look hard. Someone said, accept the unchangeable and change the unacceptable. Interesting.
That's got me deep in,
Repeat that.
Accept the unchangeable. So if you can't change it, don't worry about it. And change the unacceptable.
Well, that's what
it does
United's
make sense.
doing.
That's what United are doing. Alpha Omega said, United players have had 4 years now. How long before they stop playing like this? It's the coach. It's the coach. It's this. It's that. It's the effing players. What do you think? Too early to be getting that annoyed, or do you think these players have?
I don't think it's too early to be getting annoyed at that comment, because you can understand where it's coming from, because the sort of spine of the players hasn't really changed that much over the past 4 years in terms of the ones who were consistently involved in the first team. I think it's too early to say that when you're looking at Rangnick's performance and what he's going to implement on the team. But if we believe in reports that are coming out, Martial wants to go, Van der Beek wants to go. There's 2 already, right? Who not really getting a sniff in that team. Who everyone seemed to be not using as scapegoats, but I'd say certainly Donny more than Martial in terms of talking in that regard. These are the guys who we've been consistently frustrated with for such a long time. Martial not been putting the performances. I think the 3 moments we've got from Martial was the debut goal against Liverpool, hat-trick against Sheffield United, FA Cup semi-final, winning goal to put us through to the final, we eventually won. He might be doing the similar thing where he's going to get rid of him now. He might do a Van Gaal sort of esque ruthlessness and go, you're not doing it for me, you're gone. Van der Beek, you're not doing it for me, you're gone. Rangnick's comments about Paul Pogba before the game, I think that sort of cements what he's going to be doing with this squad, because he's saying, look, if he doesn't want to be here, we're not going to try and not bully him or beg for him to stay. If he's not going to be here, no point in being here. Simple as if he doesn't want to be. So I think it's too early to be worrying about that.
Yeah, I agree. The unknown one with the super chat, it says, I think everyone was hoping for a result that injected confidence into the team, but these things will come over time. We got the result, now we build. Surav with the super chat as well said, sorry for this, but the argument of some of the worst performances ever, let's give the previous manager some respect. Ollie may not have been perfect, but he's done a lot to put this club back on the map. Yeah, and I was just talking about the results, but I mean, they were some terrible performances.
I don't think anyone's disputing some of the positive things that happened, and some of the positive results and great moments that we got as fans. I don't think anyone's questioning that.
No, but the results.
But call a spade a spade. The results were absolutely abysmal, and we're not saying that is all his fault or all the players' fault or everyone's got to take collective responsibility. But
yeah, exactly. Mike with a super chat. If people think you can transform a team overnight and adopt a whole philosophy in around a week, they don't understand how football works. I understand that, and I think I agree. It's not going to be overnight. United have won. That's the main thing. I mean, I think that's all we can say, isn't it? Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you, Ange, for coming down again. Probably won't be able to get you on for ages again now.
I know. Back
Start
to
your new job next week.
Yeah, down to London.
But it's been great having you on over these last couple of games. Jordan, thank you for coming on as well. Thank you to everyone at home for joining us. Manchester United have won. It may have not felt as though we did, but we did.
But we did.
Remember, when we look back, this was 3 points, a victory, and a clean sheet. Ronaldo gives us another sou, and that's the end of it, really, isn't it? Thanks for watching.